Why Icarus is the best of the survival genre? Well, probably. It has authentic character progression, meaningful co-op, exactly the right amount of direction, and, most of all, it keeps you perpetually in that sweet spot of those early hours of a new survival game. Let me explain. Survival games appeal to our basic need for tangible growth, progress, and accomplishment. It's easy to understand why those needs might not be getting met in our daily work and home lives in this endless treadmill of our capitalist, globalized society. The rise of the survival/crafting game is demonstrative of the fact that it is not at all that humans are unwilling to work hard to achieve some goal. Rather, just that we do not want to labor in vain. These games ask us to work hard, and we're happy to do it. The sweet spot of a survival game tends to be at the very beginning, when we're learning the mechanics, problem solving, and building our first structures. The fall of quote-unquote fun tends to be when we have built our 30-foot fortress, and it's no longer obvious where we could invest our work or effort and still reap any meaningful benefits. Icarus solves for this by adopting a mission-based structure that has you constantly building and rebuilding from scratch. This may sound defeating on paper, but because you keep all your unlocked skills and blueprints, you never actually feel like you wasted time. Additionally, with the mission completion rewards, you can start your next mission with newer and increasingly more useful tools. This also solves for any of you who experience architecture/aesthetic anxiety when building structures. You know that even if it looks awful, it's only temporary, and you can make a cooler looking one maybe next mission. Our being social creatures means that we just do want the approval of those we respect, and we enjoy making life wonderful for those we love, well, hopefully. For me at least, sharing things I make, like this video, my art, my poetry, etc., are principal ways that I tend to my need for being known and to contribute to the well-being of others. But it's hard to know how to actually make life wonderful. We do what we can. Co-op video games I love because they make it precisely clear how to make life wonderful for our friends. The objective is clear and the path is obvious. To be frank, some of the worst feelings I have ever had is when I do something I'm hoping will make life wonderful for someone, only to discover that in the end, it really didn't. The other factor about concepts like progress and accomplishment is the sense of permanence. While I do think it's healthy to detach oneself from the idea that we should only love or invest in things that are permanent, things that might last forever or into eternity, etc. Nevertheless, it does seem to be that the idea of permanence plays some role in our sense of accomplishment. Icarus tackles both our social needs and our need for permanence with its unique online structure. It's a sort of hybrid peer-to-peer system. The game treats your computer like a kind of space station full of whatever characters you might create. Any rewards any of those characters acquire is shared with the entire space station. However, missions, called prospects, exist in the game's quote-unquote real world, i.e. not local to your computer. So if I join my friend's prospect, then I can drop in and drop out as I please. If I finish the goals of the prospect, then I'll get the rewards for that too. I could also leave the prospect without completing it, but I'd lose any rewards, of course, and I'd lose progress that I might have made there. Here's the winning feature, though. I can still play on that prospect even if my friend is not online. The game simply migrates the host to whoever logs in first in a play session, while storing the seed data of the world's last played state in a server somewhere. For me, this simple feature makes all the difference in the world. It makes progress feel real and permanent in a genuine way. It's probably the best system I've seen besides having each instance hosted on a server somewhere else, but to be frank, I doubt that the game has seen the kind of financial success requisite for that kind of thing. Lastly, let me say a bit about the mission structure. Once you begin a mission, again called a prospect, a timer begins counting down. This timer counts in real-world days and hours. You'll see how much time your prospect will have before you even begin a mission. So you may start a simple tutorial-style prospect that you have 6 hours to complete. Or you may start a more open-ended prospect that gives you a full 14 days, real-world days, to accomplish. This inherent directionality and incentives goes a long way in a genre like this, which otherwise is dominated by, I don't know, you figure it out energy. Sandbox has mostly become a term for when the developers trust you to find your own fun in the world that they create. And that's all fine and good. But constraints breed creativity, as they say. A well-crafted game, in my opinion, offers just enough directionality to curb decision-making fatigue, while still giving ample room for players to believe, whether it's true or not is another story, that their decisions have made some kind of difference, giving us the sense that we left our fingerprint and told our own story in whatever small way. The time we're counting in real-world hours and minutes really grounds the game in reality in a surprisingly palpable way. Okay, I don't think I have anything else to say. Consider playing Icarus. You might like it. As someone who has a 50-hour save in No Man's Sky permadeath and a fair number of hours in the forest, my only wish, really, is that someone would have convinced me to try Icarus sooner. No Man's Sky's insistence on starting a new character to do the seasonal expeditions makes my other saves feel expendable. And the forest's lack of permanent character progression, and the fact that I couldn't play in the same world without the original host, left me feeling like my progress didn't really exist in any kind of real way. While I know video games aren't a physical space, quote unquote, I don't think that stops us from thinking of digital spaces with varying degrees of realness. Icarus seems to thread that needle just right for me. With more than 60 available and unlocking prospects, many taking several real-world weeks to complete, the game is almost certainly worth more than its price of entry.